Do you know that feeling that you never quite fit in with your own family? That there's something fundamentally different about you, and no matter how hard you try, it seems like you speak a language that nobody there understands. Well, my friend, you're not alone in this. In fact, you may be exactly what every family needs, but that few have the courage to acknowledge the black sheep. And here's a truth that goes against everything you've been taught. Being the black sheep isn't a curse. It's practically a superpower disguised as family rejection. Most people spend their entire lives trying to mold themselves to fit into the box their family built for them. They spend energy, time, and especially their own essence trying to be who they are not. But you are different. And while everyone treats this as a problem, I'm going to show you why this is possibly the greatest advantage you could have in life. Because in the end, who really changes the world? Those who follow the instruction manual, or those who have the courage to tear up the manual and write a new one? Let's start from the beginning. Every family functions like a living organism with its unwritten rules, its behavioral patterns, and especially its silent expectations. It's like an exclusive club where everyone knows the secret code except you. Your parents expected you to pursue a certain career. Your siblings thought you should act a certain way, and your uncles were absolutely certain about how you should live your life. And then you come along, questioning everything, choosing different paths, thinking for yourself. Chaos ensues. The thing is, families, like any system, seek balance. They want predictability. They want everyone to dance to the same tune. And when someone shows up who prefers to play their own melody, the system panics. It's not personal, you understand? It's automatic. It's as if the family were a perfectly balanced aquarium and you were a different fish that messes up the whole ecosystem just by existing. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why on earth are some people born with this different label? Why do you question while your siblings simply accept? Why do you feel you need more while everyone else seems satisfied with less? The answer lies in a fascinating combination of temperament, unique experiences, and above all, heightened sensitivity. You were probably born with a brain that processes things more deeply. While most people see in black and white, you see 50 shades of gray. Metaphors aside, you feel more, perceive more, question more. And in a family that prefers ready-made answers, someone who constantly asks uncomfortable questions naturally becomes the outlier. Think about it. You're the one who doesn't accept doing something just because it's always been that way. When everyone is gathered on Sunday, talking about the same old things, you're there with your head elsewhere, thinking about possibilities, different worlds, alternative versions of life. It's not that you don't love your family. It's that you love possibilities, and that scares those who have already chosen to live within safe boundaries. And here's a crucial point that nobody tells you. The black sheep is usually the most aware person in the family. You've seen the dysfunctions, the toxic patterns, the gentle lies that everyone prefers to uphold. You are the one who said this isn't right, when everyone pretended everything was fine. And you know what happens when you point out that the emperor has no clothes? People don't appreciate honesty. They sideline you. Look at Steve Jobs. The guy was literally rejected by his biological parents, raised by an adoptive family, and yet he never fit into conventional standards. He was kicked out of the very company he founded. But this inability to conform, this stubbornness in not accepting the status quo, was exactly what changed the way the whole world uses technology today. His difference wasn't a flaw. It was the secret ingredient. Or take J.K. Rowling. Single mother, living on welfare, family thinking she should get a real job instead of writing stories about little wizards. Everyone thought she was wasting her time. Today, she's richer than the Queen of England ever was. Her madness has become the fantasy of millions. But you don't have to go that far. Think about that uncle who decided to quit his stable job to start his own business. The whole family thought he'd gone crazy. 5 years later, the guy is making 3 times more and working half the time. Or that cousin who decided to study something different instead of pursuing medicine as everyone expected. Today, she is a referee in her field and loves what she does, while her doctor cousins, Livy unhappy, lives in their offices. The big insight you need to understand is this: families reproduce patterns. Did your grandfather work his whole life in a job he hated? Your father probably did the same. Did your mother swallow frustrations to keep up appearances? Your aunts do the same. And when you come along questioning this model, proposing something different, you're not just challenging expectations. You're threatening an entire belief system that sustains those people's identity. It's like this: if you prove that there's another way to live, you automatically throw in their faces that they could have chosen differently. And man, that hurts. It's much more comfortable to label you as the problematic one than to admit that maybe everyone was wrong all along. Now, let's talk about something that nobody mentions, but that is absolutely crucial: the emotional cost of being the black sheep. Because I'm not going to fool you by painting a rosy picture. Being different in a family that values conformity is often extremely lonely. It's growing up feeling like you're constantly disappointing the people who should support you unconditionally. It's hearing jokes, veiled criticisms, comparisons with better-behaved siblings or cousins. It's feeling that your love has conditions. Like, I love you, but it would be easier if you were like this or that. Have you ever been to those Sunday lunches where everyone is celebrating your brother's promotion, but when you talk about your personal project, the one you sold your soul to get off the ground, the reaction is an emotionless, "Oh, that's great," or worse, that awkward silence followed by someone quickly changing the subject? Yes, this type of subtle rejection, repeated over the years, undermines your self-esteem in ways you don't even realize. Many black sheep develop a kind of emotional armor. You learn not to share much, not to expect much, to protect yourself, and that comes at a price. You may end up closing yourself off too much, having difficulty trusting people, carrying a permanent feeling of not belonging that extends to other areas of life. But here's the key. Recognizing this cost doesn't mean you should change who you are to please others. It means you need to learn to process these emotions in a healthy way, and that involves some very practical actions. First, you need to build your own tribe. Seriously, if your biological family doesn't understand you, look for people who do. Interest groups, online communities, friends who share your values. Read the book Tribes by Seth Godin. He masterfully explains how to find and lead your own group of people who vibrate at the same frequency as you. It's not about abandoning your family. It's about not depending exclusively on them for your emotional validation. Second, seek therapy. And no, this isn't something for wimps or weak people. It's exactly the opposite. It's about having the courage to look at your wounds and treat them properly. A good therapist can help you untangle this knot of family rejection. Understand that the problem isn't you, and most importantly, develop strategies to deal with family situations without destroying yourself in the process. Third, invest in self. Read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, or Change Your Schedule, Change Your Life by Dr. Suhas Kursagar. If you want to better understand your own rhythms, do therapy, meditation, journaling, whatever works for you. The more you know yourself, the less power the opinions of others have over you. And here's a liberating truth. You don't need their approval. I know it hurts to admit this. I know there's a part of you that still hopes that one day your father will look at you with pride, that your mother will finally understand your choices, that your siblings will treat you as an equal. But man, as long as you live seeking that external validation, you'll be stuck in a cycle of endless frustration. Emotional maturity begins when you stop waiting for people to change and start changing your relationship with them. You can love your family, you can be present in important moments, you can maintain bonds, but without needing their approval to move on with your life. It's like turning off the emotional GPS that always pointed home and learning to navigate by your own internal compass. Now, let's completely turn the tables, because so far I've talked about the challenges. But what about the superpowers? Yes, you read that right. Being the black sheep comes with skills that most people will never develop. First, superpower. Extreme emotional resilience. You were forged in the fire of rejection. My friend, while many people crumble at the first no of their lives, you've been collecting no's since childhood. This has made you mentally stronger than you imagine. When everyone else is having an existential crisis because the boss gave negative feedback, you're there kind of thinking, is that all? You've survived worse? Not being accepted by the people who should automatically accept you. Second, superpower. Sharp critical thinking. You question everything because you learned early on that not everything you were told was true. This makes you immune to manipulation, less susceptible to following the herd, and more able to identify trends before others. In the business world, this skill is worth its weight in gold. While everyone else is following the same saturated strategy, you're there, seeing opportunities that no one else has seen. Think of Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater Associates, one of the world's largest hedge funds. The guy built his entire empire based on principled thinking and constantly questioning the consensus. He literally created an organizational culture where disagreeing is not only accepted but encouraged. And do you know where this strength comes from? From someone who learned early on not to accept things on faith. Third, superpower, radical authenticity. In a world where everyone is pretending to be someone they're not to get likes, you have the rare ability to be genuine. And man, people feel it, even if your family doesn't value it. The world does. Authenticity creates deep connections, builds powerful personal brands, and attracts unexpected opportunities. Look at Brené Brown, a researcher who transformed vulnerability and authenticity into an empire of lectures, books, and programs. Her TED Talk on vulnerability has over 60 million views. Why? Because in a sea of panoply, trying to appear perfect, she had the courage to be real. And that resonates deeply. Read her The Gifts of Imperfection. It will show you how to transform your difference into magnetic power. Fourth superpower, the ability to innovate. You don't follow the manual because you never really had a manual that worked for you. This forced you to improvise, to create your own solutions, to think outside the box, not by choice, but by necessity. And that is exactly the most valuable skill in the 21st century. Companies are desperate for people who think differently, who propose unconventional solutions, who challenge. We've always done it this way. If you want to better understand how to capitalize on this, read Innovation and Entrepreneurship by Peter. He shows how the ability to see the world differently is literally what separates successful entrepreneurs from those who are average. Fifth superpower, deep empathy. It may seem contradictory, but precisely because you were rejected. You developed an absurd sensitivity to perceive when other people are suffering. You see the quiet boy in the corner because you were that boy once. You notice when someone is pretending to be okay because you've pretended 1,000 times. This empathy makes you a better leader, a better friend, a better human being. And here comes a powerful insight. Your family unknowingly prepared you for the real world better than any course could, because the world is not that welcoming and fair place we would like it to be. It's competitive, it's tough, it's full of rejections. And you're already trained. You've already developed the emotional muscle necessary to navigate this difficult terrain. But there's a twist in this whole story that few people realize. Often, decades later, your family ends up seeing you differently, not because you changed to fit in, but because you proved that your path worked. Suddenly, that uncle who used to tease you comes to ask for investment advice. That aunt who rolled her eyes when you talked about your projects now shares your achievements with pride. Your parents, who pressured you so much to follow the traditional path, begin to admit that maybe you were right all along. This happens because success, in the end, speaks louder than any argument. I'm not necessarily talking about financial success, although that helps. I'm talking about you being visibly well, happy, fulfilled. About you having built a life that makes sense to you, that hits harder than any speech. But beware, this belated validation cannot be your goal. If you keep waiting for this moment of recognition, you are still trapped in the need for approval. True power comes when you no longer need it. When it arrives, it's great. When it doesn't, you're fine anyway. Now, a hard truth you need to hear. Not every family deserves full access to you. Sometimes, love from afar preserves bonds better. If every time you visit your parents, you come back feeling bad about yourself. If every family gathering leaves you emotionally exhausted for days. If you need a week to recover from a weekend with your family, maybe it's time to redefine the boundaries of that relationship. Setting boundaries isn't cruelty. It's self-care. You can love your family and still choose smaller doses of time spent together. You can call us often, visit on specific occasions, leave gatherings earlier. You can even decide to distance yourself completely if the relationship is truly toxic. The book Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud is fantastic for this. It teaches how to establish and maintain healthy boundaries without guilt, explaining that you are not responsible for other people's emotions. Your mother was upset because you didn't spend Christmas there. The feeling is hers, not your responsibility to fix. And let's talk about something that many black sheep face, but few. Guilt. That annoying voice in your head telling you that you should call more, visit more, try harder to keep the peace. That guilt is programmed, man. It was installed in your childhood through phrases like, after everything we've done for you, family is sacred, blood is thicker than water. The false saying being the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, meaning exactly the opposite. Uninstalling this programmed guilt is therapy work. But it starts with recognition. You don't owe anyone anything just for being born. Your parents chose to have you, or should have chosen. That was their decision. You didn't sign any contract agreeing to live the life they planned for you. Another thing, stop waiting for an apology. Seriously, many black sheep remain stuck waiting for the family to acknowledge the damage caused, to apologize for the criticism, the comparisons, the lack of support. But man, most people will never have that awareness. They genuinely believe they were protecting you, guiding you, doing what was best for you. Within their limited worldview, they were right. So you have two options remain, Peter: waiting for an apology that will never come, or forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Forgiveness isn't saying what they did was right. It's deciding that you will no longer carry the weight of resentment. It's freeing yourself, not them. Now, tell me something. Have you ever stopped to think about the legacy you will leave behind? Because being the black sheep comes with enormous responsibility. You are breaking generational patterns. If you have or plan to have children, you have the opportunity to create something completely different. You can be the father who supports crazy dreams, the mother who encourages individuality, the uncle who shows that there are multiple paths to success. You are literally rewriting the history of your family lineage. In 2 or 3 generations, when someone is drawing up the family tree, you will be that ancestor they tell stories about. It was in that generation that everything changed. It was when someone had the courage to be different. And that's incredibly beautiful. It's also heavy, but it's beautiful. You're doing the hard work so that those who come after you are allowed to be who they truly are. You're creating a new family template where difference isn't a threat, it's a celebration. But while you're on this journey of breaking patterns and building your own path, you also need to be aware of the pitfalls, because there are some. Piece number 1, the victim complex. It's tempting to live defining yourself by the rejection you suffered. I am like this because my family never supported me. I didn't achieve this because they always sabotaged me. And look, there's truth in that. But there comes a point where that becomes an excuse. You can use your story as fuel or as shackles. The choice is yours. Piece number 2, the me against the world. Just because your family didn't understand you doesn't mean everyone is an enemy. Some black sheep become so defensive that they completely shut down, unable to form healthy bonds anywhere, living in a state of permanent battle. This is not strength, it's untreated trauma. Trap number 3, the need to prove something. Working 80 hours a week to show your father that you were right. Accumulating achievements just to rub it in your family's face at end-of-year gatherings. Living your entire life in an imaginary competition. Man, when you finally succeed, driven by this kind of motivation, the victory is empty. Because you're not living for yourself, you're still living for them. True freedom comes when you stop needing to prove anything to anyone. When you make your choices based on what makes you genuinely happy and fulfilled, not on what will impress or convince someone. When the applause is internal, not external. So, how do you make that transition? How do you go from rejected black sheep to authentic and empowered individual? There's no magic formula, but there are proven paths. It starts with self-compassion. Stop beating yourself up over the same patterns you rejected in your family. You're human. You'll make mistakes. You'll stumble. You'll have days when you doubt everything. That's okay. Kristin Neff's book, Self-Compassion, is exceptional for developing this. Then build a positive narrative about your difference. Instead of thinking, I'm the problem child in the family, acknowledge, I'm the brave one in the family. Instead of, nobody understands me, try, I have a unique perspective that the world needs. It's not empty motivational talk. It's real neural reprogramming. Your brain believes the stories you tell it. Invest heavily in your development. Since you're going to tread unconventional paths, you need to be exceptionally good. Read the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene to understand power dynamics. Study Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman to master your reactions. Devo Antifragile by Nassim Taleb to learn not only how to survive chaos, but how to become stronger through it. And above all, surround yourself with people who uplift you. Warren Buffett says you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If those 5 people are all from your dysfunctional family, man, you're screwed. But if you deliberately choose mentors, friends, partners who believe in you, who challenge you to grow, who celebrate your victories, you'll go far. There's a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche that I love. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger. But there's a lesser known and more important continuation. But I can choose what kills me. You didn't choose to be born into a family that didn't understand you, but you choose every day whether you're going to let that destroy you or strengthen you. Choose whether you're going to stay trapped in resentment or transform it into purpose. And purpose, my friend, is the antidote to all this suffering. When you find something bigger than yourself to dedicate your energy to, when you transform your pain into fuel to create, to help, to build, everything changes. Suddenly, it no longer matters what your parents think about your career choices. It no longer matters the passive-aggressive comments at family dinners, because you're too busy living a life that truly means something. Look at Oprah Winfrey. Abused in childhood, rejected, ridiculed. She could have let that define her. Instead, she transformed her story into a mission. Today, she has impacted millions of lives precisely because she didn't let the trauma paralyze her. She processed, learned, and used it. Or Jim Carrey, who grew up in a family so poor they lived in a trailer. His father was frustrated, working a job he hated to pay the bills. Jim could have followed the same path of bitterness, but he chose something different. He chose to make people laugh. He chose to dream big, and he completely changed his family's trajectory. You have that power too, regardless of where you started, regardless of how many times they told you that you wouldn't amount to anything, regardless of how many family dinners you had to endure, hearing that you should grow up and face reality. Have the power to rewrite everything, but that requires something that many people don't have. The courage to disappoint, the courage to be misunderstood, the courage to follow your path even when you are absolutely alone on it. Is it scary? Of course it is. But you know what's scarier? Reaching 80 years old and realizing that you lived the life that others wanted you to live, not your own. So, here's my challenge for you. Stop for a minute and honestly ask yourself, what would you do if you knew your family would support you unconditionally? What project would you start? What change would you make? What dream would you pursue? Now answer this. Why do you need their permission to do that? Life isn't a dress rehearsal, man. It's the presentation. And you're on stage right now. At this very moment, you can continue playing the role they wrote for you. You can stay backstage waiting for approval to go on stage, or you can improvise something completely your own. What? It be. Will you be just another person who lives embittered, complaining about a family that never understood you? Or will you be the one who transformed rejection into a personal revolution? The one who used pain as a springboard, not as a chain? Because, honestly, the world already has too many people living mediocre lives for fear of disappointing their families. The world's already full of people who have stifled their dreams to fit into other people's expectations. There are already too many people dying a little inside every day, while smiling in family photos, pretending everything is fine. The world doesn't need another one like that. The world needs you, authentic, whole, alive. It needs your crazy ideas, your different perspectives, your courage to do things differently. We need more black sheep who accept their own blackness and show the flock that there are endless pastures beyond that little fence. So go ahead, read the books I mentioned. Find that therapist. Call that friend who really understands you and schedule a coffee. Start that project that's been stuck in your throat for years. Establish those boundaries you know you need to establish. Forgive not because you were asked, but because you deserve peace. And above all, stop apologizing for being who you are. You will disappoint people. Inevitable. But it's better to disappoint others by being authentic than to disappoint yourself by being fake at the end of your life. It's not your family's expectations that will judge you. It's you. And in that last moment, when you're taking stock, do you want to look back and see a life truly lived or a life wasted trying to please those who would never be satisfied anyway? I already know your answer. You know what it is. Now, it's a matter of having the courage to live it. And if you've made it this far, if these words resonated with something inside you, if you felt that tightness in your chest that says, wow, that's exactly what I needed to hear, then do one thing for me. Do one thing for yourself. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Not because I need another subscriber, but because you need more reminders that you're on the right track. You need a community that understands that being different isn't a flaw, that questioning isn't rebellion, that seeking your own path isn't selfishness. It's survival. It's authenticity. It is, ultimately, the only way to truly live. So go, black sheep. Go and paint this world your color.